Thank you so much everyone for coming here today. You may not know me, I'm John White. I've got two other friends of mine that I'll be inviting later on for them to say their part. This is our very first spooky2 conference for Ireland, the second spooky2 conference ever, the first one being New Zealand. We want to talk about the early days of spooky and lots of other cool stuff. This is our spooky2 logo. You'll see we've got the words take control. And this is what spooky is all about. It's enabling people like ourselves so they can take control over their own health. Okay. Spooky2 rides on the shoulders of many great men, one of whom is Royal Raymond Rife. He's the gentleman that discovered long ago that frequencies can be used to disable pathogens, germs inside your body. He was born in the late 1800s and lived through the early 19th century, could be a century. He had lots of talents. He was a musician, he was a sportsman, he was a designer. He designed microscopes, he designed many different machines. He's a very smart man. One of his greatest achievements was inventing the world's most powerful microscope. Until this microscope had been invented, no one was able to see a live virus. With Royal Raymond Rife's microscope, it magnified it 37,000 times, and he could see a live virus. Even today they struggle to do this. They use electron microscopes to get the magnification up, but that kills your specimen, and so they can't see a live virus. Using his creativity and his genius, he invented a way to cure cancer. What Spooky does is follow in his footsteps and try our best to do what he would have done if he was alive now. What did Royal Rife discover? He discovered that very small pathogens, viruses, bacteria, can be disabled and destroyed through the use of frequencies. These frequencies have to be very precise. Either side of that frequency, and the virus or bacteria or fungal diseases, they will not be disabled. It's got to be very, very precise. He also discovered something which wasn't very good for a lot of other people in the world, and that's that drugs aren't necessary to be cured. With Royal Rife's equipment, you'd buy his machine or you go to a clinic, you get treated, and then they go away. That wasn't very good for the drug companies because there's no regular income, and there's one of the reasons for his demise in his later years. I'll take that. Okay. Now this picture is actually it's quite a nice tune. This picture is demonstrating simple resonance. It's one of the when I try to explain resonance to people, I describe it like pushing a child on a swing, and I guess most of you will have children and you've pushed them at some time on the swing. You wait for the child to come back before you push again. There's a natural rate at which you push the child. If you push the child before the child comes fully back, you'll actually work against the child, which explains why that rate's got to be pretty precisely, it's got to be at the right frequency. So you wait for the child to come back, then you push. And you've got to be careful quite often not to push too hard because the child swings quite high. Now what Royal Rife was doing was pushing the child, in a manner of speaking, greater than the cells could handle, and so they'd self-destruct. or become rather angry. Okay. Now resonance can cause destruction. Resonance is a very powerful force. If we had the child on the swing and he did continue to push at a regular rate, the child will go past a point and start falling back. It'll be rather not very nice. And this is a video that shows how the force of resonance can break glass. I'm sure you've all seen this, but I'll make you all sit through and watch it again. Okay, let's click again to the right, it should start. You can see the frequencies being applied to a glass. It's a resonant frequency. They've discovered the frequency that the glass vibrates at naturally. They're injecting more and more power until there's more than the glass can handle. The wobbles get greater in amplitude, and then the whole glass will, well, I won't give it away, you're going to see it soon. The whole glass shatters. Now that's a very simple way of thinking about resonance. We're not shattering viruses because cell walls are flexible, but we're stressing the viruses, and we're stressing them to a point where they cannot recover. Okay, Royal Rife, in his lifetime he did a lot of things, but he did one thing very wrong. He employed a man by the name of Philip Hoyland. Philip Hoyland was a very clever man, he could do the work, but he had his mind fixated on the money. He did what Royal Raymond asked of him. He changed his machines so that they could be smaller and more portable for these medical clinics. Philip Hoyland also introduced another method of creating frequencies, and this new method hid the true frequencies that killed the pathogens. Pathogens are germs, and so he created these machines that hid the frequencies because he wanted them a secret. You can't patent numbers, you can't patent frequencies, and so he just thought, well, he'll hide them so people can't use them. He also decided to take over Royal Rife Company and try and push Royal Rife out, the man who actually started it all. And so in 1939 there was a big court case. It dragged on for a few months. Royal Rife wasn't a loud man, he was a humble person, and the court case pretty much destroyed him. It caused him immense amounts of stress. He turned to alcohol, and he died pretty much in poverty in Mexico alone. I didn't get the nod, but it's okay. Echo and I've got a code. I've got to look at her and I've got to nod before she goes to the next page. My arms aren't long enough, but sometimes the system doesn't quite work. Okay, now how has the events with Royal Rife, with his inventions and all he's done, and what happened after the court case, how does that affect us now? Well, his inventions aren't publicised much. They're not promoted. They're not researched properly. Not enough people are investigating what he's done, and not enough people are growing what he's done. He was a true genius because he wasn't a one to talk very much. He used to focus on the science. But we've got to do this now. We've got to look at what he's done, do as much research as we can do, get as much information, and grow on that. And so now his knowledge was lost. Drugs have become the default method of healing. If you go to a doctor's place, he's not going to fire up his Rife machine or his contact device or anything. He's going to prescribe to you drugs. That's the system that people use now. And the health system is money orientated. Now, from the very beginning, Spooky has been humble. The strength of Spooky is the strength of all you inside this room and the many that are not in this room. Spooky started with one person, me. The family grew to Echo and David, and it's grown just recently to more people We are humble people. Things that we do are great and fantastic, and we get overwhelmed sometimes. And sometimes we get overexcited. We know we cracked some things. We've made huge advancements, but we'll never let that change us and where we started from. We'll always be people riding on the shoulders of Royal Rife. He's the man that started it. And so we only hope to continue his work and do. We like to think that we are doing what he would do if he was alive now. This is where our focus is and what we like to think we're doing. We don't take credit for things that he invented and things that he created. So our focus is not on money. Our focus is on the people that we're helping. We've got money. We've got a business that we make money from. We've got enough to eat and to visit you lovely people in Ireland. Not every day, but when we do, so we don't need the money from Spooky. Profits from Spooky go towards the Rife Trust for Mankind, which is helping people that cannot truly help themselves. It's not a registered trust because they cost money, and we just haven't got the money. Well, we've got the paper trail, we can prove it for those who really want to know. But we are very straight up, and we just love what we're doing. And I would like to ask David Berg to come up here and talk more about taking control, which is what I touched on earlier on. So David, please come up and talk to us about how people can take control over their own lives and over their own health.
Oh, very well. I'll keep your seat warm.
My memory is not as good as it used to be, so I had to prepare some notes. So please bear with me on this. The idea of take control, it's not just like snazzy marketing speak. It's genuinely what we want for people, to control their own health, because right now they don't. Okay? So, most of us believe that we're in total control of almost every aspect of our lives, with almost limitless choices available to us in virtually every area. For instance, we walk into a supermarket to be met by a dazzling array of colourful packaging that contains tasty and, most of all, inexpensive food, which is more accurately described as a food-like substance, which enables us to feed our families in style, or so we believe. Depending on our vocational choices, we can drive a banger, we can drive a Ford Ka or a Mini, or a top-of-the-range BMW. We can take holidays 2 or 3 times a year, if we can get the time. And again, depending on our vocational choices, this is easy for some of us and impossible for some of us. But we're told if we work hard, we can climb right to the top of the tree and enable such lavish choices in our own lives. In healthcare too, we have choices. If we have health insurance, or the means to pay out of our own wallets, we can opt to stay in hospitals, private hospitals, that are more like 4-star hotels than hospitals. And we can engage the country's top surgeons and doctors. If we're not well padded, then the state's National Health Service will take care of us. And we can take potluck with the medics assigned to us by the system. And if we're happy to wait on trolleys for up to 2 days before we're even seen. So the medical system it's quite obvious, it's failing. It's failing the people it was designed to serve. Everywhere we turn, there's this endless vista of choice stretching all the way to the horizon. All of them, all of these choices are available to some, but only some are available to all. Well, we could be here all day talking about our world of choices, but we'll just concentrate on the few we've touched on so far. Most of us believe that we live in the best of all possible worlds. Most of us would agree that our lives are far better than the lives of our great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers. Most of us believe that we've beaten all the killer diseases like smallpox and the plague, polio and tuberculosis, tetanus and rabies. We haven't. They're back. And this time they don't respond to antibiotics. But nevertheless, most of us believe that these have been beaten. Science has brought us the modern miracle of microwave dinners. So we no longer have to slave over a hot oven anymore. TV brings us the news and events from all over the globe, and we're entertained and enthralled by sports, comedy and drama, courtesy of that bright, colourful window on the world. But is this really the best of all possible worlds? A life spent in an office cubicle, pushing pieces of paper across desks and computer files across the internet. And at the end of it, a gold watch waits for us. Ironically, just when our time here is drawing to a close. So let's try a little thought exercise. Let's imagine we have a time machine, and we'll use it to travel back in time to visit our great-great-grandparents, to see how they lived. The first thing we notice when we travel back is that there are no supermarkets, no butchers, no greengrocers, basically no food shops, no fast food outlets. The few shops that do exist sell only luxury items like tea, coffee, sugar, spices, imported from all over the world at great expense on sailing ships. And so these are affordable on a regular basis only to those who are well off, part of the merchant classes, not to the common man. But this doesn't matter to our great-great-grandparents, because they grow all their own vegetables, raise their own animals. They don't get to eat meat every day, but they know how to prepare. They have that gift of being able to prepare organ meats, bones, and scrag ends to make tasty, really nutritious meals. And they do manage to get the odd sirloin steak or leg of lamb on special occasions, or maybe a turkey. Nevertheless, they don't have anywhere near the same amount of food choices as we do. In those days, the car had yet to be dreamed up, but almost every family in the past, where we are now, has a horse or a donkey and a cart for family transport. These four-legged friends are used only for longer journeys, not to visit friends who live just over the hill. And they not only help us get from place to place quickly, they also help us to till the fields, bring in the crops. And if we work hard enough and clever enough, we can have more than one field. Back then, back then, our great-great-grandparents don't have the choices we have today, but they still have transport that's a lot more useful and versatile in their daily lives than ours is. Think what we use our cars for. Back then as well, holidays as we know them are unknown, alien. The Industrial Revolution has yet to take hold, so the vast majority work the land. Nature doesn't take holidays, so those who care for the land don't take holidays either. But they have religious holidays, and even holidays that date back to pagan times, where people gather together in celebration and community. So the choice between a fortnight in Florida, 10 days in the Bahamas, or skiing in the Swiss Alps would have been meaningless to our great-great-grandparents. When people get sick or injured, there aren't any hospitals or medical facilities of any kind. Although there are herbalists and natural doctors, these require a fee that the majority can't afford to pay. And so we tend to imagine that they must all have lived very short lives in a horrible world of pain and suffering. But if they did, how come there are now 7 billion people on this planet? The truth is that they are healthier, our great-great-grandparents, than we are today. Far healthier. They grow their own food, and they eat the right food. They work hard 6 days a week, physical work, and sometimes 7 in harvest and planting seasons. The fields and the barns are their gyms. Right? No membership required. Because they live so close to the land, and the things that the land can produce, that they have a huge store of knowledge about which herbs, foods, and minerals are useful to cure various illnesses. And this knowledge is passed down, ladies, from mother to daughter. So the first healers were always women. Healing in the past, where we are now, healing is a skill as common as the ability to cook or sew. Only the nobility and the merchant classes can afford doctors, whose most common treatment for an illness is bloodletting. Very scientific, with all its attendant dangers of infection and anemia, to which many of the rich succumb. Our great-great-grandparents don't need doctoring. If more expertise is required on any given case, they simply confer with each other and take steps accordingly. The sharing of knowledge freely. The news from Japan or Russia might intrigue them, but it's meaningless to them and useless. Far more useful is news from neighbouring villages. They have their sporting occasions and travelling performers come to the fairs. They rise at dawn, work in the fields, then sleep at sunset. Their lives are utterly in tune, like clockwork, with the rhythms of the earth. So, to believe they were unhealthy is actually to believe a lie, because it enables certain interests to make the claim that we are now healthier than we've ever been in the past, which is a lie. The essential difference between their lives and ours is control. They control their own health and well-being with the food they put into their bodies and what they do every day to stay fit and strong. As time went on, the world changed. The Industrial Revolution didn't denude the countryside of people to work in factories completely. It did, however, solve the problem of property succession in larger farming families. It also brought us the major expansion of cities built to house all the workers required by the merchant classes and the mills and factories that were set up. Cities brought diseases and violence. So there was more custom for doctors and surgeons. However, by that time, homeopathy was fairly well established, so many of these people were actually helped successfully when they became ill. If we fast forward to 1851, in the first ever World Fair held at Crystal Palace in London, it was billed as the great exhibition of the world of industry of all nations. There's that word again, industry. From then until the Chicago World Fair, from 1933 to 1934, these events were almost exclusively about industry, technology, and above all, the science that enabled and drove this. Scientists came to be regarded with awe as little gods, and their every word was golden. If a scientist said that such and such a thing was true, then by golly, you better believe it, and it was true. And if a doctor said that smoking cigarettes was good for your lungs, then that must be true too. Because doctors and scientists have absolutely no reason to lie, do they? So, piece by piece, we ourselves handed control over our own health and well-being to solemn-looking men in white coats who assured us that their way was the scientific way, and thus the only possible right way. Well, we've seen where the scientific method has gotten us as a society. To this day, the vast majority of us have no control whatsoever over our own health. We know little or nothing about how our bodies work, or how proper nutrition works, or why it's even so vital. In fact, most doctors are not educated at all during their training about nutrition's role in health. As little as 2 hours in the entire training course, 2 hours devoted to nutrition. which includes vitamins, by the way, and minerals. One of the doctors leading the UN's global Codex Alimentarius body has actually come out and stated publicly that nutrition has absolutely nothing to do with health. Right? This is what's leading the UN into the future. And it's going to become our future as well. In fact, Codex Alimentarius applies in Europe. The EU implemented it across the board, and our governments signed up and agreed to it. As a result of all of this, in large parts of the world, and as I said, in Europe, it's no longer possible because it's illegal to buy vitamins or minerals in the therapeutic doses that are required for health. You can't do it. Try and walk into a pharmacy and buy large amounts of vitamins that you can take easily in the correct therapeutic doses. You can't do it. You won't be allowed to import them either. They'll be stopped by customs. They don't want you to have them. Right? So food production has changed, so you're not getting the vitamins or minerals because of modern farming methods has depleted the soils of the minerals. So without the minerals, the vitamins can't form. So our food, certainly the food you buy in supermarkets, is pretty useless to you. As a result of all of this, allopathic medicine has now become embedded. It's a part of every state and government in the West. The result is that it's actually illegal for any doctor to use anything but chemotherapy or radiation to cure cancer. What's rather remarkable is that a global meta-study of chemotherapy found that its success rate, and I'll go into that in a moment, the success rate overall was less than 3%. Right?
One person.
Yeah, but that's taken the best possible interpretation of the figures. So we say 3% to give them the benefit of the doubt. How they define success? Well, you're counted as a cure if you are still alive 5 years after you start chemo. That's a cure. If you die a day later, it's still counted as a cure. Not in my mind, it's not. So, treating illness as a result of this infiltration of allopathic medicine and the melding together of allopathy and government, treating illness has now become our way or the highway. You can't specify on your medical card that you want to be treated by a homeopath or a naturopath. It's an allopath only, or nothing. There are no homeopathic hospitals or naturopathic hospitals available to us. It's the allopathic way or nothing. Despite the grandiose claims of modern medicine, Western man is today more unhealthy than ever before. Cancer rates have soared into the stratosphere, with 1 in every 3 people expected to contract cancer in their lifetimes. 1 in 3. That's crazy. And people say, well, you know, it's stress and it's the pressures of life and it's the way that. No, it's not. No, it's not. Our children, who should be bursting with vitality and health, are sickening with diseases which were completely unknown to our grandparents and great-grandparents. Completely unknown. Many of them are routinely dosed with toxic psychotropic drugs. And they receive an insane number of vaccinations. By 2025, some of you will already know this, but it's going to shock a lot of you. 1 out of every 2 male children will develop autism. 1 in 2 by 2025. This is according to Dr. Stephanie Seneff at MIT. And she knows what she's talking about. This is a disaster for the human race. Utterly disastrous. We have to change it, because they're not going to. Because it's a gravy train for everybody, except us. Childhood daydreaming and natural boisterousness has now been relabeled ADD and ADHD. Now they're being treated with drugs for something that's a part of childhood. It's crazy, insane. So, despite all its glittering promises, modern medicine has delivered only a few genuine successes and far too many failures. But what can we do about this? Who can we turn to? If the doctors can't help us, who is going to make us well again? Well, there's only one person on earth who knows everything there is to know about you. Everything. That person is you. But you say, I don't know anything about medicine. Well, to tell the truth, realistically, most doctors are really not that far ahead of you, because they spend most of their training time learning about drugs rather than health and well-being, and certainly not nutrition. Yet this knowledge about health and about nutrition is freely available to all of us. It's right there on the internet, in books and in videos. Apples of knowledge are just waiting there for us, free for the plucking. The only price is a little time spent harvesting. Right, that's all. Time. So I have to ask a question. Is knowing the comings and goings of the characters of in Albert Square, which is, for those who don't know, the EastEnders soap opera, is knowing their fictitious lives going to help your health problem in any way? What about following Liverpool's football season? Is that going to help with your liver problem? Or maybe Netflix, binging on the latest vampire romance or hospital drama. What's that going to do for you? Nothing. TV stands for time vampire. It's taking your life, which is your time. So you know the answer to that. Your time is your life. That's all you've got, is your time. And it is your life. So, frittering it away on things that are completely and utterly meaningless at the end of the day and have no lasting value is very foolish indeed. Very foolish. Without your health, life is misery and suffering. And I don't have to. Some of you sitting here today at this conference know this already, and many of the people watching this video or the live stream, they're only too painfully aware of that. So we can't go back to the days of our great-great-grandparents unless the nature of our whole society changes radically. But what we can do is use the tools of genuine 21st century science to help restore our health and that of our children, and then safeguard it from then on. We believe, the Spooky team, that we design and build the best possible tools on earth to do this. And because we sell everything at a couple of dollars literally over manufacturing cost, Spooky systems are affordable for every home. So we give you the tools and we help you to learn how to use them. And this is part of that learning process. I'll be touching on that in a few moments again. The one thing we cannot do for you is to research your illness. Necessarily, this is your responsibility to yourself and to your family. All that it takes is a little of your time. The law also prohibits us from treating people. Only a medical professional can legally treat someone for a disease. So we can't do it for you. Right? Otherwise, we go to jail. And if we go to jail, Spooky goes to jail. So that's not going to happen. By bringing Spooky into your life, you take back what your great-great-grandparents had that made them so healthy and so fit and strong. You take back control over your own health and well-being. Personally, I don't have any religious beliefs, but I do have very strong spiritual beliefs. I believe that I will one day stand before my Maker and account for what I did with my life. I would like to be able to tell him, or her, that I did my very best to nurture and take care of this. Might look like much to you, but to me it's a miracle. This miraculous body that he designed to carry my soul, which belongs ultimately to him, because it is a spark from the divine fire of creation that created everything. We're all sparks from that fire. That's what our soul is. Most of our glittering choices today are truly meaningless. This one is not. So please take control. Now that's basically concludes my address, but I would like to say to you before I close that the user, the national conferences we see these as a way to bring all you people together, right? You are the people with the power to do this, not us. We can support you all the way. We will do everything in our power to support you with materials. But the only people who can set up a national user group is you, right? So you have to get together, network, swap telephone numbers, contact details. You must have the intent to take this further. If you don't, then it will die. And we will all be, here's why that's so important. What would happen if the internet disappeared tomorrow? Which is possible. If the internet disappeared tomorrow, where would you get help if you had a problem with Spooky? If you have a user group, you pick up the phone and you phone a member. You arrange your own meetings on whatever basis you want. That's up to you as a group. We can't do it for you, but we will support you every step of the way. So please use this opportunity today, all of you, right? There are health professionals here who are using the system in their clinics. Please get together, use this time and opportunity to network and stay in touch with each other and set up the user group on a formal basis. Once you do that, we're going to be there for you every step of the way. So I have said everything, well, I haven't said everything, but I've said all I've got time to say. So I'm now going to hand over
Back to me, I'll take
to John again. Thank you for coming.
I've quietly made an observation that no one claps when I come up and when I leave. we'll let that lie. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the next screen. I'm going to go through the history of spooky. In 2010, there wasn't much out there in the way of Rife treatment. There was Frex and a few others. And I wanted to make something which could go to the higher frequencies, closer to the frequencies that Royal Rife used, because it's always been the man to follow. And so I created a software called FMD, Frequency Medical Device. This taught me a few things with frequency generators that I used later on when I was developing spooky. It was quite a complex program. It was really designed for an electrical engineer rather than users, and I wouldn't like to use it myself now. You set the waveforms, different parameters, everything's all, it's in a way similar to the early spooky versions. You can see the programs there on the right. I released this in 2011. But soon after that, something quite radical happened. And it wasn't me losing my laser pointer either. In 2012, I struck a friendship with Johan Stegman. He's a gentleman who lives in South Africa. We were chatting one time and he says, "Hey John, I found out a way where you can actually trick someone and you can be somebody completely different." And I told him, I explained to him as gently as I could, "You were nuts." And of course he was, but that's another story. And I proved him wrong quite a few times after then, and he is, by his very nature, a very patient man. And he'd correct me and he'd say, "Well, John, you're actually not doing things right." And he told me to change a few things and do things differently. And in the end, I didn't listen to him properly, and I found that what he did suggest actually worked. You can treat someone by remote, which even now seems totally crazy. I'm quite careful to who I tell that to. I mean, there's lots of theories why. I won't go into how it works, but basically, the DNA is linked, and what happens to one DNA strand is mirrored in another. Okay. Now, being the sort of person I am, I decided to use what he had taught me and see if I could improve it. He had developed a program called Ride USB. He working with Hank Giganday. He's a great researcher in Canada, and they developed Ride USB, which allowed you to select the program to run, and then click on the generator and run. And it was great. It was very good. But I was thinking to myself, can you do more than one generator? And so I did some research, and I thought, yeah, I think I can do it. And so I spent a long time developing the code, and Spooky version 1 came out. Now, they could control 80 generators, which was pretty cool. Looks familiar to what we have now. You double click on the programs to run, and they run. You've got 3 different waveforms, 3 different options for repeating, and you can choose the databases you wish to run on the very right hand side. It was ugly. It was an ugly release, I've got to say it. The generators are at the bottom here, and you've got these lines across. My idea was we could associate link all the start buttons together, and all the stop buttons and all the pause buttons. I really don't know where I was at, but that's the version 1. You've got to start from somewhere. Okay, we'll go to the next big change. I think I overdid the colour on this release, but it's actually a very exciting time because we had a very important piece of software, a hardware being developed. We were developing the XM generator, and at that time we didn't have a name, so I called it Royal Blue at that time. But the generator, we wanted it to be special, with special features that other generators didn't have, and so the software took advantage of those special features. The colours, didn't quite make it. We've got the different waveforms over there. The programs are behind the control panel, the control pane that fires up, and I've got the advanced screen showing as well. It was a very confusing version. This was a very late beta release. But the colours, okay, quickly, next page. I toned it down in the final release. I finally got the colours kind of right, where it didn't give you a headache if you stared at it for more than 10 minutes. It's a little bit more clean. I introduced displaying of the waveform on the bottom left-hand corner. It was a nice release, that one. It took advantage of the features which we had developed in the XM generator. Things like setting the duty cycle, amplitude, and offsets while the generator's running. That was a big deal back then. Okay. Now 2014, we're getting closer to the present day, so we're working quite fast now. We opened our forum on the 18th of January 2014. I remember David saying to me, John, we've got this post, we've got this the forum, it's actually live now. We've got one post, and it's mine. Say something. And of course I was busy with doing my coding and generally doing nothing as I do. And so I made a post there which wasn't very significant, but it made it 2 posts in this forum. So yeah, it's live and it's active. We've got a few people on the forum now.
7,000.
7,000. That's quite a achievement. That's amazing. And it's growing exponentially too. So, okay, we did the forum, and we finally released, after much heartache, on the 20th of January, spooky2 with the XM generator. We did it. Okay. Since 2014, we've continued development with the spooky2 hardware. The software continued. We were doing monthly releases, which was killing me. We're now to 2 monthly releases. Okay, I wrote in my presentation almost 7,000 members. David has told me we've hit the mark. That's fantastic news. The Rife for Life Facebook group. You know, a lot of the achievements, most of the achievements hasn't really been through us, it's been through our users. Our Rife for Life group was from a user. We don't think of our spooky2 people as users actually, we think of them as friends. Friends that we may never meet face to face. Well, it's fantastic to meet you all face to face now. Most people we just know through emails. So this Facebook group that was started by a spooky2 user has now grown to 6,200 members. We established the Rife Trust for Mankind. We didn't make it with a large fanfare, it's just what we do because it's the right thing to do. Right, now you can tell that we're passionate with what we do. We don't do it for financial reward, we do it for humanity. We know we're going to meet our Maker at some time. We want to make a change in our lifetime to the way the medical establishment is run. We'll do the best to change things. We'll do it at personal cost. We'll do whatever it takes to make a change. I'd like to introduce you to Echo Lee. I'm sure you all know her. She's going to talk about our passion for speaking. So please welcome Echo.
Thank you. This is actually my first English speech in public. So, so I got a little bit nervous. And John told me a way to be relaxed. He said, just to speak from your heart. So now here I am. I was born in a very poor village and family. My daddy lost his parents when he was a baby. And my mom, his daddy committed suicide when she was 4 because of lack of food. And he wanted to save food for his children. I still remember that my mom's biggest dream is that one day she doesn't have to starve. However, lucky for me, being poor never stopped them supporting me in getting my education. For many times they told me that if you are able to get further education, we will try our best to support you, even if that means we have to beg in street. So when most of my peers have stopped their schooling and have already had their children, I was still getting my nutrition in university. But strong physical work and lack of nutrition never left my parents with good health. Especially for my mom, she has a lot of health issues, and she has chronic diseases, which, she has a lot of symptoms all over her body. I always have a fear in my mind that one day if they pick up some serious problems, serious illness, I won't be able to do anything. For many years, I would wake up at night crying from bad dreams that they are leaving me. So I made 2 promises to myself. That first, I would try my best to find a solution for my parents, for their health, to keep them healthy all the time. And the second, if I have ability in the future, I want to set up an education trust to help people like me, to help children like me, that they can have the chance to get their education, to get the knowledge they need to make themselves powerful, so they can help themselves, help their parents who always sacrifice for them. Well, this was the promises I made to myself. and it's actually my dream. The day John approached me to get a UDB generator sample has totally changed my life. At that time, I didn't know what spooky was and what John was doing. When he told me, when he got to know that one of my friend's mom was having lung cancer, he got very worried. He told me to send a nail of my friend's mom to him in New Zealand. And he also introduced me to Johann Stegman for the suggestion of treatment. That was when both Spooky and John started to amaze me. Johann was helping us treating my friend's mom all the time, and we had to get back to him with the feedback, how everything was going. Then he decided whether it is needed to change the programs. We were using Spooky Remote, treating my friend's mom remotely using her nail. Every time when a program is changed, she would feel the effect and the improvement instantly. That totally amazed me because seriously, treating cancer through remotely, that's something I've never heard of. And it's like my whole old knowledge system collapsed. I started to read in John's website about remote treatment, and I also tried to find a lot of information in quantum entanglement. The more I read, the more a believer I became, and most importantly, the more relieved I became, because I was thinking, finally, I got something that would work for my parents in the future. If there's anything happen to them, I can take control. I can help them. So when John told me that he needed a more powerful machine, but cheap machine, for the new release of the new version of Spooky, I told him immediately that I am in without any hesitation. We, because of the development of XM generator, we have to talk a lot through Skype and exchange emails a lot every day. And I noticed that many times John was very tired during the day. And then I got to know, because he would spend the whole night thinking of a solution for the development of the hardware. And sometimes, because he was worried for some woman he was treating, for some stranger he never knew, because a lot of people went to him trying to find help, and he would told them that send your nail to me, and people would send them their nails to him, and he would help them. And he would get worried all night whether they're improving, their health is improving. I mean, I was totally bought by him. He would put everyone else in front of himself. He is a very quiet person, but his worries is very loud. Well, in 2014, January the 20th, we just saw that. We finally released XM generator. And we got a lot of orders from people. And from all of the orders, I noticed there was one person. He placed several orders by shipping to different addresses. Well, this person, I know him a little bit. His name is David Book. I checked with him why he's placing so many orders and shipping to different places. And then I got to know he was buying all the generators using his own money. Well, all of us can see he's not rich. He's using his own money, buying all of the generators and sending to people who couldn't afford the machine. And he didn't know them. They only exchanged emails. This is his nature. He wanted to help whenever people need. Oh, it was really touching. And it was like all of a sudden, my dream came back to me. I wanted to help. I promised myself that I want to help people. So I wrote an email to both John and David. I got 2 replies, very fast replies actually. One from John, who supported me fully. I said in the email that we want to set up a trust. And I want to propose a name as David Book Trust. Since the very first day, John always reminded me, always told me that keeps the cost down, keeps the price down, so we don't have much profit. We don't have much room to contribute to the trust. But we managed to get 5% of all of the sales into the trust. Well, the reply from David, he really loved the idea of the trust, except of the name. He told me that if there's anyone on earth that deserves this name, his name is Royal Raymond Rife. And we are doing this for the whole mankind. So the name should be the Rife Trust for Mankind. Then we got our trust. Our trust is helping a lot of people throughout the world now. And we donate spooky gigs to people who couldn't afford them, and sometimes donate Spooky Central to clinics because we believe that clinics are able to help more people. Sometimes we got emails from different people that want to donate money to spooky2 Trust, well, to the Rife Trust for Mankind. But we couldn't accept it. We had to refuse because this trust is not officially set up. So we told people that if you want to help them, help others, just get spooky2 from us, and you can donate spooky2 to others. This is what we're doing. We have helped a lot of people now. And we never make it very loud to all public that we're helping many people every day. We don't do that because that's not us. That's not our focus. Our focus is in helping people. Well, this may not be exactly the same trust I was thinking of when I was a little girl, but we don't set up rules. We don't limit ourselves. And if we've got to think, we might as well think big. spooky2 has his own mission, vision, and value. spooky2 will help eliminate cancer and all diseases in the future. And he will enter all families to help. And we believe that, most importantly, all of us will be able to witness this revolution, this big change. I feel very grateful and very lucky to be part of the spooky2 team. And I think I will spend the rest of my life, well, maybe not only in Spooky, but I will always contribute. I will always work on helping people. This is my passion, and this is why I get involved to spooky2. Thank you.
What can I say? Wow, I surround myself with good people. Okay. There's some big things coming up in the next release of Spooky. There's going to be a base pair frequency database. And what's base pair in English? Well, as I said before, the most important thing for successful treatment is getting the right frequency. Well, we've got a database. The database is predominantly historical from researchers in Mexico and other places. where they find frequencies are beneficial in eliminating disease of a certain type, and so they're in the spooky database. But the base pair frequencies use a physical size of the cell to calculate the frequency, and they're precise, they're exact, and they work. And the next version of Spooky is going to have not 10 of them, or 100 of them, not even 1,000 of them. Think big, think spooky. There's going to be a lot. I'm not going to tell you the number because we're still working on it, but there's going to be a lot of them. And they're going to be available for free.
Yay!
2017, we've got 2 very exciting projects underway. They will be released this year, and I can't tell you a thing about them. But they're very exciting, and they are going to change the way that we treat people and ourselves. There's going to be also new accessories for contact mode, laser, and much, much more. One thing we don't do, we don't sit on our hands. We continue our development. We want to make a big change, and we're working with all of our resources to make it happen. This is a chart showing the relationship between the Spooky software. We've got Spooky Pulse, the generator, Spooky Central, Spooky Boost. It shows the entire family of Spooky. Now, even just 3 short years ago, we would have had the Spooky software and the generator and the Pulse. Nothing below. So we've grown a lot, and we're going to continue to grow. What's our goal? What do we want to do? We want to improve people's lives. We want to make people live happy, healthy lives, and not to have early expiry dates. We want to give control back to the people. So if you've got something wrong with you, you can do changes to heal yourself. We're going to provide the tools so you can do this, tools that you can afford. We want to teach people about Royal Raymond Rife, because we're riding on the shoulders of a giant. And we want to make him a family name. We want everyone to realise that this man did actually know a few things, and they can do their own research. Right, I think this is the last one. The Spooky team, that's us. That's all of us, by the way. We're all passionate about hearing. There wouldn't be one person here today who isn't concerned about the way that the health system is, concerned about their own health, and want to make an improvement. We will continue to help people in need through our trust. We've grown quickly, we will continue to grow quickly. We've got 7,000 people in the forum. We want to make it 70,000 people. What's the limit? We want to continue growing. And we make a promise to everyone in this room, everyone on the internet that's watching this now, we will never put money before profit. Did I say that right? We don't actually know the word profit. If we were a business, we'd be a non-profit organisation, I guess. We will never put profit before money, ever. I said it wrong the second time. Thank you, David. We'll never, third time, we'll never put profit before people. We'll always put people first. Is there anything else? You try pushing it, we'll try again. Right, and now it's time for all of you to take control. Thank you for bearing with me and us. You know, from the very beginning, I've been very lucky. People say to me, you know, gosh, the John White. Yeah, the John White. I'm an ordinary person. I'm surrounded by giants. And the giants, David, Echo. I'm supported by many, many, many other important people. We've got the forum, we've got the family, we've got the Brian, Jeff and Whithold, the core team of the Spooky, carrying us as well. We're surrounded by talent, and David's telling me about all these names I should mention. There's too many people to mention, but really I thank all of them for making us do and achieve all that we've done. We're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Thank you. Tea and coffee and biscuits are over in the corner. From here on, we'll keep casual. I don't really do formal. I know I dress formal for today. If anyone's got any questions, they can ask me now or later. Make them easy. Yes.
I've got what's probably a really basic question.
Sure.
I was wondering, I'm a spooky2 user. I've had fantastic results with it in helping conquer Lyme disease and get my life back. And my question is this: we have the frequency resets and lists of frequencies that people have used for certain conditions, but there are all these other options also in spooky2, like amplitude wobbles and frequency wobbles and this and that. I feel I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg in my usage of it. Is there any thought of having sort of workshops where people can really get down to the technicalities of how they get the most out of it?
Okay, Anna, you're asking about training for spooky,
Yeah,
for the
I guess,
advanced
yeah.
options. Yes, absolutely. We do plan to do this. We need the support of other people to help us do this. There are pockets of people that are setting up camps at the moment. Because we're at the forefront of the development of spooky, it's hard for us to do the training
Yeah.
and also have time for the development. But we have got the support of people that are helping out. It will be volunteer because our pay rate's really lousy.
Sorry,
But it is
could
being-
I add something to that, John, if
Sure.
you don't mind? I actually think you need basic training as well, not just advanced, and I think it could all be done online.
Webinars.
Yeah.
Everything is written in a manual. If you start to read how many, 100, something like that, pages, yes?
165.
Oh, sure,
I think.
Yeah.
uses guide,
And
yes.
everything is written, about the adjustings, about you can manually program yourself, you can program your frequencies if you want,
Some people are more technically minded
Yeah,
than others.
absolutely.
I would be
Just
at the lower end
how
of the
many
technical
users,
minded.
spooky users are here? How many spooky users?
I'm a user.
Nearly everybody. Okay, question. How many use for terminal illness? Yeah? How is your improvement?
I thought
Testing.
Just
I haven't.
The power got-
I don't even know if my
The
machine
wire
works
got pulled
properly,
out.
and I'm using it for 2 years.
okay. Do you have good improvement?
Right, I've got mesothelioma.
Oh.
Second?
Hello? Hello?
Mesothelioma,
Yes.
which is not cancer.
Yes, I know, I know, I know.
Yeah. As soon as was it 10 months ago? I should be in agony.
Well, spooky is
I'm not, I have no pain.
Myself, I used for I have a very serious illness. He actually is like immune system disorder, but it's AL amyloidosis. It's called. I know, it's very rare illness. Just about
Owls, is it owls you're talking about, is it?
no AL amyloidosis.
Which is,
Now it's very nearly couple cancers in one. It's not like cancer, but this is absolutely terminal. It's not curable.
that's what it said to me,
And
not
even
curable.
like in Ireland, it's not monitoring this illness. I have to go to United Kingdom and National Amyloidosis Center and to check the to make discounts. Now, what I wanted to tell, just I used the spooky 1.5 years, more than 1.5 years. Of course, in such cases, I didn't find any improvement. It's not like it's bad machine or something like that. But But I know what is about all the Rife and about, I'm myself electrician and really operating in Western ships. I know everything what to do in this machine, and I feel that when I'm checking on an oscilloscope and everything. Frequencies are good and very, very stable and so on and so on. That one I checked myself and the different generators, and I know about this machine very well. But just I asked John, in the future may he has some, or discover some good amplifier for that. Like if you know, if it's similar machine like Peril, you know. You hear it, nobody hear about it, but it is produced in Canada and so on and so on, with a similar lights, with a similar bulb what we have here on the top, you know. And that is maybe even yours be better than
Well,
the Canadian.
the most important thing is getting the right frequency. And this is why the next release of Spooky is going to be so exciting.
I just finished in a minute. And what I discovered it now, like frequencies, what they are programmed in a spooky, yes, they are good and so on and so on. But like root of the illness, like could be even like in my case, it is like blood cancer, you understand? Now blood cancer is more difficult to cure than tumor. Tumor is 50% easy. Now, thing is that like you have to find the frequency program or something which like affects blood, not like secular amyloidosis, like blood flux. Yes, they are, that is more important thing, that it is something hidden, you know. Even what I'm telling, I didn't find yet, you know. I have this illness from 2010, surviving time from 3 to 5 years maximum, but I 7 years and you see in my life.
You're
and
healthy.
refusing any chemotherapy. I got chemotherapy in 2010, and after that I start tell no anymore. I come into the appointment that office, you have to, you have. No, I said I try to do everything alternative, you know, but still alive. Can you do? But spooky has to be, if you like you like added this one amplifier, and like what I see the this bulb, you know, it has to be. It has to kill every parasite in the body.
Well, it's actually surprising, you know, with the candidas, the fungals. I'll get you this shortly. Most of the illnesses are created.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Are a result.
Plenty of users here, and we can contact.
They are a result of other parasites and other unwanted hosts in your body. Let's talk to you, the gentleman behind you now, because he was asking a question before. Yes, sir. Yes.
John, is there a possibility of measuring the frequencies of substances like chemicals, poisons, pollutions, etc., so it could be used for treating people who are affected by those poisons?
Well, what you would use, we have a molecular weights database. A chemical will have a natural frequency, and the molecular weight determines this frequency, the atomic frequency. And Spooky, I introduced that database into Spooky about, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe 2 months ago, maybe a bit longer. And so Spooky does know the frequency rather than needing it to be measured. But you can use a biofeedback to determine what's in your body. And if it's excessive mercury, perhaps you've got a spike where the mercury molecular weight frequency is. And so this is a very good question, and you use a biofeedback and see where the spikes are. You know, Spooky does have a report after a biofeedback scan, but Spooky in the background creates a file which you can load into a database, a spreadsheet, and then you can graph it and you can see more detail of the biofeedback results, and you can glean more information from that. So I encourage you to learn more about the background workings of Spooky and use them to your advantage.
John, could I ask
Sorry, I'll try and keep it in.
Going from that, then can you use the spooky to treat somebody who's got a particular poison?
Well, gosh, poisons, you want to act pretty quickly, wouldn't you? You'd want to, for poisons, you'd want to use an anti-venom quite quickly. But certainly you want to run a generic detox
Oh, yes, but apart from that, I mean, something specific with the spooky to help.
Well, spooky, you've got to really either disable, entrain or disable. And poisons are an inert substance, so really beyond detox, there's not many specifically for poisons. There's
Chalk.
If
exactly, you know, chalk or activated carbon.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, I know about the various detox techniques.
I understand.
I'm talking about something electronically to assist.
Sure.
Just like homeopathy. Homeopathy for a particular poison like lead, you can make that. Is there a similar principle that you can use with the spooky?
Well, there is, but we haven't done clinical trials, so I can't give you a straight answer. But I'm sure that some users could. I've forgotten the order, but I think, Rob, you've been pretty patient there.
I was just thinking that the first question over there was about possibility of training, and
Yes.
that everybody really may be able to train other people, etc. But really, I wanted you to touch on the fact that at the end, beginning of February, at the end of this month, beginning of February, every programme, every 2 months, is getting better and better and better and easier for people to use. So I wondered if you wanted to touch on that.
Well, I did. You know, with every release now, I try and release a video which covers the training side, Anna, hopefully. Now, because I wrote the code, I'm looking at spooky in slightly different three different eyes than yourselves as users. And I've got to keep myself, reminding myself, well, not everyone's going to know this automatically, so it needs to be explained. And so with each release of Spooky, I now make a video explaining the changes that have taken place. I know that's not the full answer, but we're working on the full answer. We're having training videos, which you know, some people find it's easier to watch a video than to read a document. And so we're having, we're creating Spooky 101, how to connect the Spooky accessories, how to turn the software on and start a generator, the baby steps that everyone has to do. Everyone's got to start at some point, and it's a bit overwhelming for someone to start with Spooky now because he's been quite a while in development, and so that's probably the most gentle way to get someone up to speed is through videos. And so yes, that is a good point, and we are doing steps to address that concern. Thank you so much for your patience.
No, it's just that I'm very interested in the product and I'm treating myself for cancer.
Yes.
But my question is, I see I've only one machine and you recommend 4, for example, for cancer, that really it's only effective. With the changes that you're making and the better maybe programs, frequencies, better accessories, do you envisage possibly being able to just use one machine? I can't afford 4 machines.
Well, one machine it's only well, yes, Spooky is a better Spooky than a few months ago even. However, cancer is quite a serious condition, and one generator can only put out one program. So to really address a condition of such seriousness, you really need to have more weapons on your side. We have got people that do treat serious conditions using one generator, and we're very mindful of the fact that, okay, they may not have much money to afford more than one generator, and we try and make one generator do as much as we can. About a year ago, I devised a system where I could put out, you could run 2 programs on the one generator, different programs on different channels. But that's not really, you really need to have a Spooky boost, which means that both channels are tied up running the one program. We're doing our best, but I think for something as serious as cancer, you need to look at investing in more than one generator.
So 4 is what you recommend normally?
I'd say the absolute minimum is 2. David has written presets using 4. Have you got?
And 2.
And 2. So there is one preset for 2 generators. We haven't done one for 1 because I think that it'll be asking too much for one generator. There's only 24 hours in one day, and there's more. The programs have to run within a certain time frame to see any improvement.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with cancer, because there are toxins involved, cancer cells are toxic. So when you kill them, they break up and spill their contents. So you have to address that before, because it can damage and overwhelm the liver and kidneys. So you've got two tasks that you must perform on a single generator, which is killing and detoxing. Now, it's much more efficient to have two generators. One of them kills non-stop in remote mode, and you would then do a single session every day in contact mode, while the second generator is running detox frequencies non-stop, detox and support frequencies non-stop. That gives you a viable way to do it.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay, you weren't, I have to leave early, that's why I was anxious to get my questions in.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
sorry for that.
Sorry,
You did
excuse
say.
me.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, David.
Could I mention that with regards to training and user groups,
Yes.
that a few months ago I was looking for people in my area
Yes.
to find out who was in my area so we could get together, and it's extremely difficult because a lot of people withhold where they are, and when they register on a forum they won't put their hometown, or if they're on the Facebook, the Rife for Life thing, then their Facebook account doesn't show where they are. Whereas if everybody would agree to at least, you don't have to put your address, right? All you have to do is put like Berkshire, Nottinghamshire, a region, so that at least we can contact with a view to having user groups, because without that, how can we help each other if we don't know where we are?
David, I love your attitude.
Hmm.
You know, there's only so much that the core spooky team can do,
Yeah.
but the powers, the control has to be taken by you. You've got to take control, and I love that attitude. You've got a great attitude. So we need to. What David's saying is, if for those who are willing, just say which area they live. There may be times when you may need help, or times when David needs help, or others. Just a phone call. Oh, I'm stuck, I can't find the button to do this and this. Oh, it's there. Oh, right, yeah, right. Just little nudges of help to, you know, will go a long way. So we encourage those of you who are okay with the thought, if you can give I think a phone number, just a phone number.
Phone number would be.
Because otherwise it's kind of like stalking. But just a phone number, you know, that's right, yep, David, and then just a digital help. We're all good people in this room. You know, we're all people that want to help other people. I think this is a good concept. And so yes, I encourage that. So maybe on a piece of paper, before you leave, if you're okay with it, leave your name and phone number, and maybe the area that you live, because Spooky will become like a community, and the community's got to start with the community spirit. Thank you, David. So we'll do that. We'll find a scrap piece of paper.
If
And
somebody could set up a Spooky Ireland Facebook page.
Yeah, I can do that. But
Yeah.
I think not all of them are in Facebook. So if any of you would like to exchange your information with each other, you can
Here and now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can leave your name here, so I can make a group, the domestic group for you, and share your information with each other.
Yeah.
But only within people who are willing to do this.
Yeah. Is everybody on Facebook, or is there more not?
oh, I actively avoid Facebook. I can't get on. I don't want to get on.
How many times?
No, I mean it's a fantastic, I'm sure, but I've got so many other things to do. When I sit down, I've got to put on the blinkers and do the work.
Good.
But I mean, if people wanted to meet up and work together and stuff like that, how would they get it?
But do we do it now? Like if you want to join this group, you can tell me your name and I will make a list of the names and what information you want to you are willing to share, like your phone number or email address.
Would work if all the contact numbers were in there.
Yeah.
You can send it to WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I think so.
Probably easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even if you could meet up in a place like this, where
Or even in Cork,
yeah,
time
even
to
if
time.
A lovely city.
Ireland's had quite a.
Even if there was a group of 5 people here, and there was an arrangement to have a Skype set
Yeah.
up here as well,
Okay.
people couldn't come.
That's
Well,
good.
go to the WhatsApp group first, and then you can expand from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get something going first.
WhatsApp would be the easiest, I think.
It is, yeah.
And then if you want to expand into.
Isn't it fantastic how Ireland's played such a key part in the spooky? Like it started in New Zealand, then came Ireland. You know,
No,
there's going to.
no,
David Burke has told me he's going to write a book about the history of spooky. Well, he didn't. I told him, and people are going to read. You know that this started from small beginnings, started in Ireland.
no, it didn't. It started in New Zealand, was taken up in China, and expanded to Ireland.
Yeah.
And then last year, we expanded its reach even further with the addition of 3 new members of the core team who are all doing very important development work. And you will actually see products this year coming out of that process, and enormous improvements as well to ease of use in the software.
Okay. No, I thought you were going to tell a little bit about the hardware, which we cannot say.
No.
But believe me, it's going to be very, very exciting this year. There's a lot of work ahead of us, so we need people like yourselves to sort of help out in the training and where we can. But there's going to be big changes, and we're not shy to make them.
I was just going to suggest, it's based in Ireland, can we find out like who's in Dublin, like how many people are from the Dublin area, how many
Yes.
people are different parts, so just to get an idea of
Okay.
what we got. How many people are from Dublin? Okay.
Wow.
Good amount of people from
I'm
Dublin.
amazed.
How many people from Auckland?
I was saying. Oh, I don't know the rest of the where England call from.
Just know the other
That's
campus.
great.
Yeah, I know. I don't like, name out who from Cork, who's from, Limerick, Galway,
Tipperary.
County Down, Northern Ireland.
Some people have come a long way.
Everywhere.
Yeah, England.
Okay.
Thank you for going that distance. Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's
So
been
such a long way.
amazing.
Right, any other questions? Coffee and tea? Biscuits? You can talk to me one-on-one if you like.
We would also encourage you to network and find the people who resonate with.
I'm sure I have a real issue on my mind. People like Chelsea Klein that are just amazing. And my neighbor
Yeah, there's a range.
my brain just works differently.
all the treatment, including not just food, not just food, but all the other cancer and other things
Sorry? Oh no, it's not.
Well, no, the plastic, we've been on the road for about